This is Maris McNamara presenting on India. I'll be going over cultural analysis elements, cultural analysis, cultural dimensions, economic environment, market characteristics, economic environment, marketing context, political and legal home country, political and legal host country, and political and legal ethical issues. India has 28 states and 7 territories, according to the World Health Organization. There is no official language. However, 41% of Indians speak Hindi, yet the other 59% of Indian residents speak something other than Hindi, including Bengali, Telugu, or Marathi. There are 14 other languages, and English is the unofficial, subsidiary language for national, political, and commercial communication. 80% of India is Hindu, a polytheistic religion, with 13% Muslim, followed by small amounts of Christian and Sikhs. Their clothing is traditionally very colorful yet modest. Most Hindus are vegetarian, but of the Indians that are not, chicken and lamb is a meat of choice as no one eats beef. Indians eat with their fingers or use bread instead of using utensils. In India, the family is very important, as families normally stay close together and do business together. This enforces the collectivist culture in that each person belongs to a group and a set of people. The large percentage of Hindus creates a cultural implementation of the caste system, creating a socio-economic separation between classes. The hierarchical culture often results in the father being the head of the household. Individuals must greet and introduce the most senior or elder person first, as status is a large part of the culture. Indians are always conscious of social order and their status relative to other people, be they family, friends, or strangers. Their holidays include Republic Day, January 26th, Independence Day, August 15th, Gandhi's birthday on October 2nd, and the festivals Diwali and Holi. Diwali is the most important, called the Festival of Lights because it symbolizes the light and goodness in each person. Holi stands for the Festival of Love. Here one can see India's 5 culture dimensions as defined by the Gert-Hofstede organization. In comparison, the next slide is India's dimensions compared to the United States. One can see that India has a higher power distance and long-term orientation, and lower individualism, slightly lower uncertainty avoidance, and masculinity. This explains many of the culture's elements. The high power distance illustrates the hierarchical structure and reflects the caste system. Yet India's lower individualism score is a result of the emphasis on family and belonging to the group. The low indulgence score is most likely a result of the majority of India being in extreme poverty and unable to seek higher-end commodities and luxury items. As far as market characteristics, India is one of the emerging markets in BRIC. It has one of the world's largest populations of 1.267 billion. That's almost quadruple the US's 300 million. The average household size is 4.8 people according to the 2011 census. This is decreasing from 5 or 6 people in the last decade. 4 southern states have already achieved an all-time low fertility rate of 2.1 children per woman, and there is a rise in the number of nuclear families compared with multi-generational families. Large families, however, remain a significant but not dominant component of Indian life. Close to 20% of households have 5 members, and another 25% have 6 to 8 members. In Uttar Pradesh, more than half the households have 6 or more people. When it comes to wealth distribution, over half the population, 135 million households, make less than 1,500 rupees a year, which is their poverty line. This chart separates the lower middle class and the upper middle class, denoting the lower as aspirers. This group is nearly 400 million people, over double the amount of the upper middle class. The upper middle class has 160 million people, and they have the widest range of income, as it spans from 3,400 rupees to 17,000 rupees a year. For marketing context, companies should know that joint ventures may be necessary to initially enter the Indian market due to governmental red tape. Infrastructure is poorly developed. Airports and ports are usable but unreliable. The same is said for interstates and highways, as many are in disrepair. This could severely limit the supply capability of many businesses. As seen previously, there is a large range of income within Indian society, from the very poor and depraved to the incredibly wealthy. The middle class alone can be a challenge, as the range of the middle class is significant compared to the US's rather homogeneous income level in the middle class. There is also a rather large technical and well-educated English-speaking community in India, which is making a show in the United States' outsourced jobs and companies. Indian consumers buy both local and global brands. However, they value brands that show they belong to the Indian culture and value system. And due to unfamiliarity, some companies' names may turn off consumers. Consumers also look for global signs of social status, so a foreign name could potentially be used for that advantage. An example is a company like Pillsbury, making efforts in their advertising to show that their foods fit into traditional Indian family structures. Companies in their home countries need to be aware of political and legal restrictions that could hinder their product, such as their country's view on intellectual property rights and patents. They should be knowledgeable on current export control systems the country has in place, such as do they need an export license or can they operate under NLR, meaning no license required, a blanket permission for certain countries. Considerations for military or dual-use products must be present, as gone are the days when military products applies just to weapons. The U.S. considers some supercomputer products and advanced technology to fall under the military and dual-use category. Import controls such as tariffs can affect companies as well, as restrictions of an item necessary for production could decrease quotas, which is called downstream change. Other regulations can be detrimental, such as the time India restricted exportation of cotton due to possible supply issues. Risk is present when investing in a foreign country, as they all have their own laws and regulations regarding business practices. This is called political risk. Risk of loss when investing in a country that can induce changes due to a change in political structure or policies. In India, there are multiple sectors where foreign investment is prohibited, such as the cigar and tobacco industry, and some where there are investment caps, such as television, banking, and civil aviation. The U.S. Department of State writes that power and decision-making is decentralized in India. Therefore, investors should be prepared to face varying business and economic conditions across India's 28 states and 7 territories. There are differences at the state level in political leadership, quality of governance, regulations, taxation, labor relations, and education levels. Although India prides itself on its rule of law, its courts have cases backlogs for years. By some accounts, more than 30 million cases could be pending in various courts, including India's high courts. According to the U.S. Department of State, in 2012, the World Bank's International Finance Corporation ranked India 132 among 183 world economies in its Ease of Doing Business survey due to its fluctuating regulations and variance in legal strictness. A major question regarding ethics in business pertaining to India is a question of labor laws. Businesses must determine if they will ethically abide by the labor laws in place from their home country, or if they will take advantage of looser labor laws in India to increase profit. This applies to child labor as well, as it is easy to succumb to due to the large percentage of India's population which is in poverty. India places a high value on friendships and favors within the business world, which could be conceived as nepotism. While this mindset correlates with India's collectivist nature, outside businesses must evaluate if they will follow Indian culture or their home culture when it comes to that aspect of operations. In summary, India is a very financially diverse country with interesting and unique market characteristics. Any Western business attempting to enter the Indian market must be aware of the vast differences and challenges they will face due to a culture that is yet to be industrialized. These are my sources. Thank you.